Greetings, everyone. Salutations. Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday night stream here on the MrWarrenHayes Show YouTube channel. There's too much junk on my desk. There's too much stuff. I'm not feeling comfortable with the amount of stuff that's on my desk right now. That's horrible. I'm still trying to figure out how to take the emphasis away from this yellow circle here, from this yellow sticker. And no, I can't just peel it off. I've explained this. It shows in what direction you have to fiddle with it for it to loosen up or to tighten up. Yeah, so it's Thursday night. The weekend is upon us. Just one more day to go, lads and lassies. We've pulled through another one. Hope everyone is having a good week, though. Hope everything is going well. There's really, on my end, the weekdays are not as busy and or interesting as the rest of the week. So I swear to God, I don't know how so much clutter just developed all around me. I have a very long USB cable here that I use for purposes, like this is it's still, and it's still going, and it's still going, and it's still going. So, whoop, there you go. It's pretty long for a USB cable, right? No, like I was trying to think of, hey, what are we going to talk about to sort of warm up and, chew the fat a little bit. And, when we see each other on Mondays, I always, there's always like the weekend that we get to talk about because, there's stuff happening over the weekend and so on and so forth. But, like my weekdays are fairly mundane. There's nothing like really spectacular that happened over the past 2 days. You know what I mean? Like over the past 2 days, it's been very, very, it's just been very normal. Work stuff, home stuff, family stuff, dog stuff. Just been very, very mundane. So I'm trying. So like I was racking my brain. I was like, what could you talk about more? And there's got to be something. There's got to be something. And I'm like, not really. Without sounding, other than, you won't believe you won't believe this sandwich order I put into a couple of days ago. There's nothing really interesting about it, There's mundane and there's like grotesquely mundane. Very uninteresting stuff. Anyway, if anything, I've been trying to catch up on pro wrestling, mostly the New Japan Cup, of which I have been completely uninterested this year. But yeah, I think I have learned my lesson when it comes to the New Japan Cup this year. After multiple years of the same scenario repeating itself over and over again, I think I have learned the lesson to not let the first round get me down. In fact, I shouldn't even watch the first round. That's the crucial thing. Is like I shouldn't even watch the first round in the New Japan Cup. It always stinks. Like for years now, it's like they do things, they set up matches, and you're like, oh, this should be fun, and it's not. And then the wrong people get pushed forward. The whole Aaron Wolf stuff, losing to Bad Luck Fale, Don Bad Luck Fale. That was an extreme bummer on my part. I talked about it on the podcast, and even wrote an article about it on Voice of Wrestling, because it upset me, because it seems like New Japan is not learning jack. It ain't learning shit. They just keep doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So yeah, I mean, I've been trying to do that. Like I ended up watching. I ended up watching in its entirety Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ryohei Oiwa, which was fantastic. It's so good. It is so good. It is so incredibly good. I love Ryohei Oiwa so much. I wish they'd give him more to do. That kid is pretty much everything I love in a pro wrestler. Like, it's as if he was assembled for me. He's so good. So, we'll just see how things develop, how things go for the rest. But I've heard that the later matches are extraordinary. You know where I tapped out? You know when I stopped watching, when I decided to just like say, I'm good, do one of those. You know when I decided to do that? When I watched the entire 20 minutes of Shota Umino versus Chase Owens. I just like hit the bricks. I was like, nah, that's it. I'm good. If I don't watch another airing of the New Japan Cup, it'll be too soon. That was like, there was no way anyone needed to watch that. That was just preposterous. That was legitimately awful. Couldn't take it. Anyway. I'm okay now, though. I'm okay now. As okay as I can be. So there you go. I can't stress enough how much more I enjoyed so far the Cinderella tournament, the Stardom Cinderella tournament. That was a lot of fun. So there's a lot of stuff I have to catch up on. I still haven't watched anything from the 16 karat gold weekend there over in WXW. Apparently there was some very good stuff. There was some very good stuff that wasn't in the tournament as well. I heard that there was a couple of things. I have a whole list of recommendations. So I want to get into that. And I think, this weekend might be a good time to do it. Next weekend is Easter. And I'll be cooking a bit of a meal for the family. So next weekend is Easter, and then it's Sakura Genesis as well. So, that one I might be a little more focused on what's going on right now. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. And in the meantime, still playing a lot of Mugenics. I think Mugenics is a terrific game. It's a terrific game. It is right up my alley. Balance patch is coming out. I don't like those. I don't like the Ed McMillan balance patches. That brings me PTSD from when I used to play a lot of Binding of Isaac. Because then that would mean that a lot of the stuff that I'd love to use on my runs to help me win would get nerfed. I'm not excited about that. But I hope like there's a couple of classes I find like in Eugenics that could deserve a buff. That could get a little better. Anyway, shout out to anyone in the chat that plays Mugenics. Let's say hello to the chat. Meggy O'Canna, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also, Meggy happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Another afternoon dangerously cycling through LA streets to catch the MrWarrenHayes show. That's what we love to hear. Risking one's well-being to see me live. It's nice to see you. Just canceled my New Japan sub last night. An old cycle to harken back to 2020. Get Wrestle Kingdom canceled around March. Well, there you go. I mean, they're not giving you a reason to stick around. Carlos, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Greetings to you as well. No Law and Order tonight, so I get the big screen. Jeez, I would have put on some makeup. Rory Starks, nice to see you and welcome. New Japan needs to get back to their roots. Cross promotion with trading card games. That's funny. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. William Davis, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. Haven't gotten to play it yet. We're talking about Mugenics. Stuck on Silk Song and playing a BG3 campaign with a friend. Ooh, co-op Baldur's Gate 3. That's fun. That's a fun thing to do when you have friends who love to play video games. See, you thought I was trying to throw the pity thing at you to sort of say I don't have friends, right? Well, I do have friends. They just have real interests. Good to have you, Will. Jameson Fletcher, nice to see you, brother. Welcome. Am I a Habs or a Sens fan or no hockey for you? I am not a hockey guy. I haven't been a hockey guy since the Nordiques got sold to Colorado and became the Avalanche. I have just lost complete interest in it. You know, everyone around me really enjoys the hockey. Even my mom, my elderly mother, for whom I care for diligently because I'm a good son. Even she's into hockey. And she was telling me yesterday, was it yesterday that the Habs and the Sens were playing? And it was yesterday that the Habs and the Sens were having their match, right? And she told me, you know, the Canadians have to win this match. I'm like, why, Mom? She looks at me and she says, because it's very important for them to win. Okay. So I know. So, you know, it's that's what she, you know, I know she would have, like, if in another circumstance, she would have probably been able to tell me more in detail, but apparently yesterday they had a really important match. And today she spent her day watching opening day. And, you know, if anything, like, I'm not, the weird thing about sports and when I was younger, like when I was like, you know, I'd say from 10 to about 20, for about a solid decade, I was really into sports, watching sports. And I did watch some hockey, but the NFL was my thing. And I really liked the NBA as well. And I watched a lot of sports on TV. And then it sort of dwindled. I sucked at sports. I've always sucked at sports. Like, yeah, I was the kid, you know, who'd play Little League baseball, right? And I was the kid that the coach would toss into deep right field, right? Because then I'd sit on the ground and sort of, you know, pick at the flowers, you know, pick at the daisies that were growing on the field, and just wait for the ball to roll my way, you know. Like, I was that kind of player. I was that kid. So I got to, you know, you know, I sucked at sports. I've always sucked at sports, but watching them has always been fun. And I was really into I really liked the NFL. I was a big Bills fan back in the day. You know, the Bruce Smith days, Cornelius Bennett, you know, those dudes. Scott Norwood. You know, those were my guys. That was my that was my team, and you know, I watched the NBA during the rise and dominance of Michael Jordan and the Bulls. You know, it's like I was right there. I was right there watching it all. And at some point I just stopped. I just stopped watching, you know. That was pretty much it. I just stopped. But always people around me telling me how things are going, and you know, I'm always kind of abreast. And I know the hockey teams, and I know their hockey teams. What the one thing I can comment on with much gusto and confidence is the design aspects. You know, the logos, jerseys, jersey colors, away jerseys. You know, there's a lot. You know, stuff like that. That I can absolutely give you commentary on that front. But who's the better player and so on and so forth? I got no memory. Couldn't tell you. I barely have memory for pro wrestlers. Not gonna start remembering bullshit about, I don't know, you know, Scottie Pippen. I don't remember, you know. It's just shit I don't remember. So I club seals and pick flowers. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Doug Flutie was pretty much everyone's guy here in Canada, right? Because he was a CFL export. One of the rare CFL players who went to the NFL and actually had a successful career there. That was, you know, and good for him. But everyone here in Canada, they loved the Doug Flutie. It was probably the disappointment of the Bills that got me out. Probably. It was probably very implicit. What's the God? Nice to see you, Mr. Antox. Welcome. Listen to your Dynamite review. Thank you. It's pretty much correct to say this is AEW's way of saying the world title is fine without Hangman being a part of it. Well, thank you. That was the point I was trying to get across. I really think that's what they were trying to do. You know, throwing all of these people as potential candidates for the world title and so on and so forth. I really think it was a message being sent as like, don't worry about the Hangman not being in this situation. Everything's gonna be fine. There you go. Fuck your mama. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Doug Flutie and Warren Moon. Warren Moon played in the CFL? What, really? I just learned something. Warren Moon played, what, he played quarterback? Well, I'm assuming he must have played quarterback. He played for the Eskimos. Which are now the Elks, of course, because we can't call them the Eskimos anymore. But he played for the Edmonton Eskimos, winning 4 consecutive Grey Cups during his span. I did not know this. I have never followed CFL. That is crazy. Moon became Edmonton's starting quarterback midway through the 1980 season. That year, the team won their 3rd consecutive Grey Cup. Moon won his first Grey Cup offensive MVP award as Edmonton defeated Hamilton. I didn't know that. There you go. I just learned something today as my retinas are burning through my skull because of how fucking bright all this is here. Oops. He was a Hall of Famer, indeed. That's what's written right there. What is your feeling about Billy Stark's shooting on Canada? What did she say? I'm not aware. and whatever she did say, it's like my answer will be She's too young to understand. Don't worry about it. She's just too young to understand. Mike McCullough, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Jeff Garcia also had a solid NFL, CFL career. I do not know who Jeff Garcia is. That's a name I do not recognize. Jeff Garcia, NFL. Another quarterback? Who did he quarterback for in the CFL? With the Stampeders. He was the third string quarterback behind Doug Flutie and Steve Taylor. He won a place on Calgary's roster as the third string quarterback behind Doug Flutie and Steve Taylor when he threw 2 fourth quarter touchdowns in his exhibition game appearance in 1994. Soon after, he was named backup quarterback to Flutie. Garcia took over as starter in 95 when Flutie was sidelined midway through the season with an elbow injury. In his second start filling in for Flutie, Garcia set a team record with 546 passing yards. What the fuck? And 6 touchdowns? Who was he playing? Christ. Was he playing toddlers in the Labor Day game against Edmonton? Oh yeah, well, okay. Touching off an eventual quarterback controversy among some fans when Flutie later returned. Fun. Good for him. Everyone know how do all of you know who's had great CFL careers, NFLers who've played in the CFL? I don't know. I have no idea. How do you people know all of this? You people. That's crazy. I guess so. You are football fans. Look, that is true. Bigger than I ever was. Should we talk about what we're doing tonight? Maybe we should. Because, little do you know that I am stalling for time right now. Because quite frankly, guys, gals, non-binary pals, as it stands, there is not much to talk about. There's really as far as what we do here on a regular basis on the streams, pulling up news items and happenings and events and discussing them. Whew. So that's why I opened up the question, the Q&A tab there on the chat thing. Right. on YouTube. So you can pop in there and ask a question, and I'll get to it. I know I will, because we really don't have much to go with. It's slim pickings this week. The harvest's a little thin this year, Marge. Oh, we'll do that. But we do have a few things to talk about. But hey, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast is out. That was released yesterday, as it is the case on every Wednesday. And as per usual, a lot of stream clips included in that, plus my review of the tribute to two legends that was released yesterday, the CMLL show from last Friday. So my review is there. It's all there. You can head on in and enjoy it. A curated selection of the best of Mr. Warren Hayes. Take that for what kind of seal of quality you think that is. So that's available. That's available there, just as the Dynamite review is also available as of today. Mr. Antox listened to it and said I was right. Okay, that's music to my ears. That's all I really want to hear. When I come and hang out with you people, all I want to hear really is, "You're right, Warren. That's all I really want to hear. You know, you can talk about everything else. We can talk about how, you know, Romo was your quarterback. We can talk about that, but ultimately it's not interesting unless you're saying you were right, Warren, or you are right, Warren. Our right is even better because implies that, or at least leaves a doubt that maybe you are no longer right. Whereas you are right, that like that's in the present, like that's now, that's happening right now. Okay. And ultimately that's why I do this. So essentially, you know, if you ever want to, if you want to give the Dynamite review a listen, go right ahead. You know, I've been trying something new, and it's I think it's mostly in my head, but for the past 2 weeks, I've been trying to make the reviews more cohesive. Because I'll be honest with you all, for a certain amount of weeks, despite the fact that the shows were very good, the Dynamites were very good and whatnot, I found my reviews to be kind of slapdash and a little messy, rough around the corners. I wasn't really happy with them because I listened back oftentimes, and you know, I critique myself. And I really didn't think that I was doing that good a job. But over the next couple of days, but over the past couple of weeks, I should say, I've been trying something different. I've been trying to find ways to like create a through line through the show. I'm trying to push myself a little more to try and find different types of connections and overall thoughts, and those past two have been the past 2 weeks. I think the review's been particularly good. I think I'm very happy with it. So, you know, I'd love to hear what you guys and gals and non-binary pals think about it, of course, right? Because ultimately you're the consumer. But you know, like personally, I really enjoy how I'm approaching it, and you know, it's just a little something different, at least in the approach, and it's not like mind-bogglingly different where you're like, this is an entirely new thing and I dislike it. You know, it's just I'm trying a different way of approaching the review, and look, I'm enjoying it. That's all I'm trying to say. So whenever you get a chance, give that a listen. And as you're here right now, why don't you go ahead and give a like to the stream? I know you haven't, so might as well just go ahead and do it. Might as well just go ahead and give the old stream a like here. I would appreciate it tremendously. Helps it all take shape and grow and become a big thing. So there you go. That's the long and short of it. Not much else going on right now. I think everything's in place. Don't forget, I've written articles recently on voicesofwrestling.com that you should go check out as well. So, you know, there's a little something. There's a little something for everyone. Travis, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. It is good to see you, and welcome. Warren wants to go head-to-head with the Valve flagship and Thurston and Pollock. Thursday nights are getting a little rough, aren't they? I keep forgetting that John and Brandon are on Thursday nights. At the very least, like when it comes to the flagship, they start recording like usually around like what 9, 10, something like that. 9, 10, 9:30, something like that Eastern, because I'm always doing this here, right? Isn't that around when they start? So at the very least, I'm like, okay, I can be the opening act at the very least. You know, at the very least. And sometimes we have run-ins, some like Rich a couple of weeks ago. So sometimes they come in, you know, they just pop in and come see what I'm up to. Make sure I'm not embarrassing anyone. As long as I just embarrass myself, everyone's happy. Hey, Zach McGibbon, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Always nice to see you, Zach. Zach is the only like real professional broadcaster around here. Yeah, you missed the CFL chat, man. I don't know. You look, it's your own damn fault for coming in late. What do you want from me? MrWarrenHayes has a Levesque ID hiding inside of him. All I want to hear is your right, you know, a Levesque id. Okay, I see. Yeah, but you know, look, I'll let you in on a little secret. No matter how humble a podcaster might come across, you know, every podcaster has an ego. Every podcaster likes to hear that they're doing a good job. Every podcaster likes to hear their name spoken on someone else's podcast, or, you know, on a blog or in an article. They all love it. Okay. I don't care who they are. And even myself, who I consider to be, humble. Am I humble if I underscore it? Yeah. But down to earth. How about that? Okay. That's a better qualifier. Even though I consider myself to be very down to earth, I have an ego just like everyone else. Like you need an ego to get into podcasting. You need the ego to start up doing a podcast, because essentially what you're saying is, what I have to say is interesting enough to put it out there on, you know, for the public to consume, and they will enjoy it. I mean, that you require a certain amount of ego, I would say. Anyone who tells you the opposite is a liar. Thank you. See, Zach McGibbon agrees, and he's a pro. People actually give him money to do it, so he knows what he's talking about. He actually gets salary for doing this. Me? I'm just sitting here and doing it for the jollies. Whether it's art or entertainment, you have to have the audacity to think you know what is good. Yes. But I will say that, how can I put this? I think artistic expression is different from what I do, from like starting up a podcast to just like give opinion. I think artistic expression is different, because I think a true artist has a compulsion to create things and to express a vision of the world, and hopefully it resonates with people. I'm not saying all artists are like that. There are artists who are like, okay, I'm going to do this style and I'm going to sell lots of these because they're very popular, and that's fine, right? That's okay too. But I think like a true artist looks for validation in their art connecting with people. And I think first and foremost, it's always very personal. That's how you start, you know, self-expression, and then you want to branch out and share what your creations are. Whereas me, I just want my name in lights. No, I don't. I really don't. But you know, you want some form of recognition, which I would say any artist wants that as well, to a degree. There you go. Okay. What else? What else are we talking about? I love the very non-sarcastic words about the beauty of Winnipeg in the Dynamite Review. Oh, it's very sincere. Trust me. I'll be at the show next week. Stoked for Osprey Pack. That'll be a good one. Hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoy beautiful downtown Winnipeg. And the thing is that Winnipeg has like one of the most proficient, has one of the most beautiful art scenes, like performance art scenes in the entire country. Yeah, and like the ballet over like in Winnipeg is like one of the best outfits. I don't know how they're called, you know, but it's like one of the most prestigious in the land You know, I dare say North America, it's world renowned. You know, but then it's also Winnipeg. You know, it's Winnipeg, but then it's also Winnipeg. Mr. Warren Hayes reviews NXT PLEs. Listen, I've told you what you got to do. I get 100 members on this channel, and I will review NXT PLEs. But I am not subjecting myself. I am not subjecting myself to that without compensation. Trust me. There's a reason why I dumped all of that shit, and there's a reason why I don't want to go back. So I'm going to go back if I have the reasons to do it. Flagship is just 50% college sports talk anyway. Yeah, but it's part of the charm. It's part of the charm. I live for the AAA rants. He's been very low key recently. Has anyone else noticed that our boy Paul is he's not staying in the limelight as much as he usually does, right? He's not like cutting all these little pre-taped things, announcing stuff, and he's a little more low key. Gee, Willikers, I wonder why. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that if it's related to him not going to the post-show panels that they do after pay-per-views in front of the crowd. I don't know if that's related to him deciding to not do that anymore. It's almost as if he's soft as diarrhea. MJF versus Ospreay should close All In. Well, probably if it's for the title, which it very likely will be. Hey, Pedro the Fifth, nice to see you and welcome. Dark horse pick is Omega versus Ospreay at All In. That's very dark horse. That's definitely a horse that is dark. Absolutely. Feel like Warren has listened to the song I Hate Winnipeg. Brother, you don't need to listen to a song to tell you about Winnipeg once you've been to Winnipeg. I'm giving it a hard time because, it's a peculiar city, okay? But Winnipeg is not that bad. It's no Regina. Regina, though, that's, Regina, though, let me tell you something. Yep, that's it. 100 members to review NXT PLEs. That's it. And 200 to stop. Hey, Johnny, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. You live in Winnipeg? God bless you, friend. You're of stronger stock than I am. I wonder how much flights to Winnipeg are from LA. Are there direct flights? I feel like you'd probably have to do a stopover in Calgary. I feel Calgary is a pretty big airport. It's a revolving door. Anyway, okay, we've been talking. Should we do a little pro wrestling talk? By the way, for those of you who just arrived, I've opened up the Q&A tonight because Winnipeg doesn't have an airport. There you go, King of the North, hopping in. Nice to see you, brother. Welcome to the chat. Winnipeg doesn't have an airport, but it does have a really neat bowling alley. It's one of those, one of those with the They turn the lights off and everything is neon. Laser bowling. Loved Regina. Only been to Winnipeg once a week after the Greyhound beheading. So wait, what? What? After the Greyhound beheading? So not fair to judge yet. I am not sure what you're talking about. And I'm not sure. Like at first I saw Greyhound. I thought you were talking about the bus, but okay. Okay. Hey, listen. Let's get this one going. Okay. Let's get to it. Enough's enough. We've made it. We've made enough. No, I have not heard of Greyhound beheadings, and quite frankly, I don't want to hear anything more about him. That's fine. I really don't want to hear about this. I want to hear this guy tell us who he is and what kind of mastery he has.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Moliere. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master, and I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling. Hoo-yah!
Hoo-yah! That's right. So he's a nunchuck master. Hey, Patrick, right on cue. Nice to see you. Welcome. Member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Yes, beheading greyhounds does not sound like a fun anecdote. It does not sound fun at all. We like to keep things jaunty here on the MrWarrenHayes Show. We like to keep things jaunty. Should we watch some Daycare for Your Dogs? Maybe we should watch some of that. This is legitimately my dog's favorite. My dog loves this. When she's bored during the day, when Juno is bored during the day, I can tell she's bored. I'm just like, okay. Like a kid, you turn on the TV and say, hey, let the TV babysit you. And I show this. And basically, it's just people walking a bunch of dogs. Like, whatever they may have, like some kind of... They can have what do you call it, a shelter? These are people with shelters and these immense lands, and you're walking like that, like at dog level. So she freaks out. She's like, look at all the dogs, and then she's trying to smell their butts and everything, and it's like, you can't smell through TV, you crazy. It's like, what are you doing? So that's what Juno is into. This is her favorite show. Anyway, okay. I am definitely not killing time because we have nothing to talk about. This is a very tightly run ship that we have tonight. I have to do the ones with music because one of my dogs starts trying to jump into the TV if he can hear the other dogs. Yeah, that's another issue. That's something that I made sure that she wouldn't do, because it would be, she's that kind of dog too. Like I wouldn't, she doesn't do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if she did. One of my dogs will watch Severance for minutes on end. Should we be worried? Okay, so okay, a quick note here, because I'm really sick of this fucking Ronda Rousey bullshit. I really am. I don't know where it started. I don't know where people got it in their brains that Ronda Rousey was hired by AEW, that somehow she made it to the roster, that she was a hired commodity, that she was going to show up. And I don't know where people developed this fantasy, okay? But your boy Warren here has been guiding you down the correct path ever since we started talking about Ronda Rousey and AEW. I could be wrong. It could be, I don't remember exactly when I talked about it, but I feel like it was immediately on the review for Revolution. Because Tony Khan, after the press conference, when he was asked about Ronda Rousey, he flat out said, Ronda Rousey is always, the door is always open. That's what he said. The door is always open for Ronda Rousey. We love to have Ronda Rousey with us, kind of thing. And like I said, Tony Khan does not lie when he does press moments. He will dodge questions. He will filibuster like a champ. But he will never tell you outright something that is false. He will never outright say something and the truth be completely else. He said on that presser, the door is always open. We love Ronda Rousey, right? But the door is always open for Ronda Rousey. What does that mean to you, chat? What do you think that means? I told you what it means. You should know by now what it means. It means we didn't sign her. But we like to work with her, and the door's always open. She wants to come back. She can come back. That's essentially it. But if he had signed her, he would have said something else. Then the door is always open. He indicated that she wasn't a part of it. Then it became Ronda Rousey murdered Tony Storm in kayfabe, right? Oh, you're sending in the transphobe, homophobe to take out, our sapphic queen, Tony Storm, and murder her on the floor. Of course, fucking AEW. And I'm like, where are all these people getting this? And I told you all, again, I was right. What? The burden of being right, again, weighs heavily on my shoulders. But here we go again. I told you, I said there's a very fair chance that Ronda Rousey did this to sort of stick it to TKO, to sort of just like fuck with TKO a bit. And Tony Khan was happy to oblige because he probably found some satisfaction to stick it to TKO, right? This is all related to her MMA match that she's having with Gina, not Carano, okay? That being said, this is the theory I put out. This is what I've been telling you. People have been losing their minds. And she comes out and she flats out say it. Ronda Rousey says AEW appearance was a little bit of a fuck you to TKO. Oh my God. Who, once again, was right? My instincts were perfect, spot on. My gut, once again, is a gut that you should follow. That's exactly what I had said. Exactly. In a new YouTube vlog, Ronda Rousey gave a behind-the-scenes glimpse of her preparation for Revolution and expressed pride in how Shafir had successfully transitioned from MMA to pro wrestling. Marina is my best friend, blah, 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 who cares? Rousey also detailed how AEW kept her presence backstage secret before she showed up at the BPV. Gee willikers, I wonder why they kept it a secret. I was brought into the arena in a very unique, I thought this was going to be much more chill, like whatever kind of day, but they're acting like it's freaking Royal Rumble, super secret, whatever. Gee willikers, I wonder why. But they had me jump into a wheelchair and throw a tarp over me and wheel me in here, and they should have wheeled her into the river. No, that's mean. They shouldn't have done that. They really shouldn't have done that. And I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. I went too far, or not far enough. Rousey compared the AEW experience to WWE and said her being at Revolution was a little bit of a fuck you to WWE's parent company TKO Group. The UFC is also under TKO's umbrella, and Rousey had been in negotiations to make her MMA return with UFC before those talks fell apart. She is instead partnering with MVP Promotions and Netflix for her upcoming bout against Gina Carano. I mean, it's a little weird, but also familiar, but it's also like AEW, so it's nice. It's a little bit more laid back. But actually, this is my first, I think, full-on AEW show because I only did Ring of Honor before, Rousey said. Like, I think I've been at the shows, but never really performing them. And Ring of Honor was kind of like a pre-taped that was a smaller crowd. So I've never been to an AEW pay-per-view, so I don't really know what to expect so much, but I'm thinking a less restrictive, more adult version of WWE, which sounds like a good time. Those are all very good descriptions, I felt. So yeah, and it's kind of a cool little bit of a fuck you to the TKO group, which is kind of funny because WWE is on Netflix, but I kind of figured it'd be easier to ask for forgiveness instead of permission on this one. Like, I'm promoting your show, it's fine, we didn't advertise it, it's not like we boosted the ratings of it, so it should be fine. So there you have it. There you have it. I don't know what else to tell you, folks. Once again, I mean, look, people say many things about Warren Hayes, okay? He can't form coherent sentences without stuttering. He's old. He's very old. Oh my God, why is this old man on the internet? A bunch of things. But one thing you cannot say about me is that I am wrong. I am the most right man, the rightest man on all of this goofy wrestling punditry bullshit. That's me. Hey, hang on. I've beaten the hygiene allegations. I'm sorry. I have beaten those. J.K. Schwal, nice to see you, brother. Welcome to the chat. Also member of the channel. It's great to see you again. And look, and it's Kristen Ashley who's here. How you doing, darling? Welcome. Welcome. It is so nice to see you. Yes. Yes, I will back pat myself because there's no one around to do it. So, I mean, okay. Everyone knows how I feel about Ronda Rousey. I don't give a shit, and the idea is not this. It's the hysterics that exist that these situations that or scenarios, that's the word I was looking for, that people create in their brains without any supporting evidence. Like, I know there's a lot of that goes on in wrestling, period, because there's still a lot of cloak and dagger stuff and a lot of rumors and a lot of people talk. So I understand. But at some point, there are things that can be, there are so many things that, like, this is actually easily verifiable and quantifiable. Like, you can absolutely find the information and say, well, is Ronda Rousey a member of AEW? No, she's not. She never has been. Did she show up on an AEW? Yes, she did. Did they have plans for her? Probably. But again, like, again, this is something we talked about. There was no way Ronda Rousey was doing anything physical before the match with Carano. That would be impossible to conceive, where she is going to be involved in the biggest MMA event of the year. This thing is going to bust all sorts of records. Netflix the next day is going to be touting how many viewers and combined hours were watching the show. Like, it's going to be huge for Netflix. Or it has the potential to be. How about that? It's going to be the biggest MMA event of the year, and it's happening outside of TKO's jurisdiction. So there's no way that she was going to do anything physical before tearing Gina Carano's arms off. It's just that there was no way. I don't know why anyone thought that this would be a thing. Now, I could listen to the argument of, oh, well, she's just going to show up, on Dynamite and cut promos. I'm like, what would you do? Again, why would Ronda Rousey do this? First of all, who wants to hear Ronda Rousey cut promos? Second of all, it doesn't make sense because her big TV appearance, the one that she wants you to see, isn't her in an AEW ring, cutting promos on Toni Storm and talking about how weird she is. She wants you to watch her get in the ring in an octagon and just obliterate Gina Carano. And I'm not saying this because I have a donkey in this fight. I don't have anything. Why would donkeys fight? But I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care. It's just Gina Carano has never, even when she was at her prime, she couldn't beat Ronda Rousey on her worst day. She's gonna get completely obliterated here. If she lasts long, it's because Ronda Rousey is toying with her. Anyway, the point is that Ronda would in no way, shape, or form do anything before that match. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So she said it herself. She did it to fuck with TKO. I applaud her for that. And Tony probably went, I would enjoy a little fuckery with TKO. Yes, that would please me. And then he tips his fedora. That's the worst Tony Khan impression anyone has ever done. That's legitimately the worst one. So there you go. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to take the opportunity to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we all see the same thing. Or like, yeah, no, it's it. And also to say, to emphasize just how right I am. They could add Billy Stark suplex on her head again. Sure. No one would have an issue against that. Imagine fight insurers having heart attacks if Rousey touched anyone in a ring. At this stage, they'd be like, no. The premiums would go up exponentially. I didn't realize how wrong I was until I heard how right Mr. WarrenHayes was. Exactly. Thank you, Zach. You will always have a seat at the table here. A privileged seat. We're going to give you a nice seat. We're going to give you a nice, a posh one. One that, that's comfy, that has good cushioning. You will always have a good, posh, cushioned chair at the table, Zach. He's never wrong. He thought he was wrong this one time, but he was wrong. That's the burden. It's really, and it's a hard burden to carry, being just one man. Always a cool 90 degrees is Mr. Warren. Super cool. If Ronda wants to wrestle a match in AEW after May 16, 1000% it'll happen, but I doubt she wants to. And I would argue that it won't happen unless Toni Storm is around. Because Ronda's not going to come in to wrestle Mina Shirakawa. And she's not going to come in to wrestle, Billy Starks. She's going to want to come in and she's going to be looking to be paired up with the top people in the company. And that would be Toni Storm. Oh, but Warren. Yes, I'm listening. What about Mercedes Moné? Pretty sure they don't get along. Pretty sure Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey did not have a fun time together. I'm pretty sure. They have heated seats here in Winnipeg. We have them here too, Buster. This is a wild wrestling adjacent story, but holy shit, folks. I don't know if you've heard, probably a lot of you have, but a former director at a Brooklyn daycare is accused of stealing tuition fees and spending them on WWE tickets. Let's listen to this. If you're not aware, Get ready to hear the tale of the saddest person alive. A former director at a New York-based daycare has been accused of stealing millions. Yes, that is correct, gentlemen, ladies. Millions of dollars in daycare tuition payments and using partial funds on WWE tickets. The New York Times reported that Michelle Mischak, the former director of a German language daycare, was arrested by federal agents on Wednesday. She is accused of stealing $2.8 million from Kinderhaus Brooklyn, which is an expensive daycare that runs various day and aftercare for children, as well as offering mini camps and summer camp packages. Mischak, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Mischak is accused of at least $350,000 of the sum on WWE tickets and buying deluxe packages for her children to attend events and meet various performers. Additional expenses include luxury vacations and food delivery services. Now, hang on a second. Is this John? Yeah, it is John. John. DoorDash is not a luxury service. Like it's pricey. If you eat that every day, if you get DoorDash or Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes or Grubhub every day, those are all the ones I can think of. If you get that every day, then yes, you're absolutely burning money. Okay, yes, I agree. But when I call in some Uber Eats, I don't feel like I'm part of the 1% necessarily. I'm just like, this is very convenient, John, maybe you tell your family, that DoorDash is a luxury commodity because you don't want your family constantly ordering DoorDash all the time because you can run up a ridiculous bill. It can fill up a credit card in a flash. Don't get me wrong. Maybe you tell them, well, this is really just for really special occasions. I can understand. But, be real here, John. It's not a luxury service. As it is stated, in the report that she spent all the money with no savings put aside. Crazy. Because she was like, I got a good racket here. She worked at the daycare for the past 13 years and was promoted to director in 2020. It was discovered that tuition deposits were being sent to Ms. Chak's PayPal accounts with the belief that she had made over 450 fraudulent payments to herself over a 3+ year period. It led to her firing at the end of 2025 and a lawsuit filed in the state Supreme Court over embezzlement. Ms. Chak had pleaded not guilty to charges of wire fraud and money laundering. And there's a part of this story that John didn't report because it's not specific. He's focusing on the wrestling things, of course. But I read the article in the New York Post, I believe, and here's the really really sad part. The principal of the principal of the daycare, right, of the Kinderhaus Brooklyn, right. They had no idea this was going on, and they saw that they saw that the school was bleeding money, and it was so bad that the principal, the school was doing so poorly, she was taking so much money out of the school that the principal at some point had to pay staff and operating bills out of their own money, out of their own pocket. Her own salary, their own salary. I can't remember if it was a man or a woman, but that's nuts. Like, she's there just skimming off the top big time, right? And just going, hey, let's get the Undertaker package for WrestleMania, and it's only $15,000 a person. There's just 4 of us. We can manage this. And in the meantime, the school is on the verge of collapsing, of staff not getting paid, and the principal is paying out of her own fucking pocket. That is insane. Insane. Anyway, I'm glad she got caught. I don't know what kind of updates we're going to get moving forward. Hopefully she gets thrown into the clink, which I believe is the German word for prison. Hope she gets tossed. Hope we don't see her again. What an absolute garbage human, right? And you know, and living the high life. And again, another part of the story, from what I read, is that she's Swiss. She's from Switzerland, and at some point she was confronted by staff, you know, because she was taking these high-end vacations, going to these luxury resorts and the WWE tickets. And at some point someone confronts her and says, how are you affording all of this on your, you know, dopey, preschool director money, right? And she invented a lie saying, oh, well, you know, I'm from money. I'm a heiress. My family is stinking rich over there in Switzerland. And so, you know, I have like a discretionary amount of money that I can spend. I do this because I want to serve the community kind of thing, or, you know, that kind of fucking bullshit that you just spew out when you know you've been caught. You're just like, oh no, I do this for the people, right? And I want to help raise everyone. You know, it's like, it takes a village. Just just insane stuff, knowingly. You know, it's not even something where you're like, oh, well, you know, maybe she was, you know, maybe she's bipolar and she got like on the, no. This was premeditated. She knew exactly what she was doing. And what's funny is that the report later on did say that she's supposed to post bail by Friday, $200,000, and she got a $50,000 deposit from her mother in Switzerland, who sent 50 grand as a deposit because the director had till Friday to collect $200,000 in bail, or they're going to keep her in the clink. It's fucking crazy, dude. There's some people like that I have no sympathy for. None at all. We could add Crown Jewel Brooklyn. Oh, well. Oh, nuts. She can deduct those WWE tickets as a training expense. Babies love yeeting. This is true. Oh, man, are you an accountant, Travis? Travis, are you an accountant? About 3 years ago, what am I reading? About 3 weeks ago, Cornette said WWE ticket prices are so high, people are going to resort to crime to pay for them. Wasn't the demographic data that Nielsen released 2 years ago that basically said that WWE fans are poor and stupid? Like they don't have a very high education, and the median household income is very low. So everyone's like, okay, well, WWE fans are poor and stupid. So of course, if they're poor and stupid, well, then they'll get themselves into generational debt to go yeet, to go do this. Baby's first yeet is a huge moment. I agree. It's, you just want to share that. You want to be there for that. A fool and his money will soon part ways. Wise words. The $350,000 for $350,000, you can get nosebleed seats for night 1 of WrestleMania. I saw that they've really dropped the prices in the nosebleeds, but they're still like $165, something like that. They just want to put butts in seats. But man, anyway, the card sucks. Speaking of things that suck, The Tony Hinchcliffe Kill Tony podcast YouTube extravaganza thing is going to go to WrestleMania Vegas, and who's ready for the greatest night of their lives? It's going to be on Netflix. Oh boy. It was announced via Variety today being March 26th, says this, that Kill Tony WrestleMania will stream on Netflix. The special will not air live. Gee, I wonder why. But will be available to watch starting on Monday, April 20, which is the same day Netflix is broadcasting the post-WrestleMania 42 episode of Raw. This is the second straight year that Hinchcliffe, who is a big pro wrestling fan, and WWE have partnered together for a WrestleMania weekend event. When Hinchcliffe's Roast of WrestleMania happened in 2025, it was billed as a closed doors event that would not be broadcast anywhere, but audio of the entire show did end up getting leaked online, with some of the jokes generating controversy. Yes, I do remember that. Kill Tony is a podcast Hinchcliffe hosts where aspiring comedians get the chance to perform in front of Hinchcliffe and other comedy veterans. He and Netflix have already partnered together for multiple specials in the past. At this WrestleMania weekend event, Hinchcliffe will be joined by current WWE stars and legends, other comedians, and surprise guests. It's being held at Dolby Live at Park MGM on Saturday, April 18, after the first night of WrestleMania 42. So you leave the WrestleMania 42 after watching, who's on night one? Do we know yet? Let's say watching Randy Orton beat Cody Rhodes, and then that'll get you all psyched to go sit down and listen to some very unfunny people say some very unfunny things. Folks, I know that comedy is very subjective. I know that comedy is very subjective. It's probably one of the most subjective things out there, right? Like, for instance, I am a big fan of Tim and Eric, the comedy duo, and Tim Heidecker. But I also understand that the comedy is a little out there and it's not for everyone, and that's fine. I understand. But I think that's very funny. Big fan. Big fan of Tim Robinson. I think he's hilarious, right? And then there's people that sometimes I watch that or I've seen either stand up or whatever, and I'm like, I don't think they're funny, but I understand why people think they're funny. Jim Gaffigan is one of those. He's a guy where I look at his stand up and it's like, okay, like, I don't hate it, and I don't think he has decent material. He has very good delivery. I think he's a good performer. I understand why people then say, "Hey, I like this guy. I like this Jim Gaffigan a lot." I understand it. It's not for me. I think but I'm not going to shit on him. I don't think he's bad. I think Tony Hinchcliffe is extremely unfunny. And I don't understand what people find in this guy that is funny. I do not get it. To a degree, I will even understand why people think Joe Rogan is funny. That I can even understand why people are like, Joe Rogan's hilarious. I can even understand that. But Tony Hinchcliffe is a complete dud. His definition of being funny is just saying the most obvious things in the most mean way possible. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, I was 13 once before and edgy. I don't know who enjoys this. I don't know anyone who enjoys it. Everyone I ever talked to was like, have you ever heard of Kill Tony? And they all roll their eyes and go, yeah, I know what it is. And I'm like, okay. He's bad. He's just really unfunny. So I'm not surprised that a guy like Triple H thinks he's funny, because Paul Levesque is not someone who I believe has a lot of taste. I mean, it's nice and all, and they're, it's another crossover event for the content starved Netflix. I'm kind of thankful that this is being recorded. I want to see how bad this is. I legitimately want to see how bad this is. And I'm disappointed that this is going to be edited, because for sure, like, the worst bits are all going to be taken out. But then I sit back and I think, well, if you take all the worst bits out, how do you have a show? Because you'll be taking everything out. See, but I had to explain the joke. So this is why I didn't go into comedy. Because I feel I always have to explain the jokes. Yes, that's the only reason I decided. Of course, that's the only reason. I like this. I'm legitimately curious to see what kind of reception it gets. Because listen, if they're going to cut out the bits that they are most afraid of will be offensive or whatever, what's going to be left of the show? It's going to be just a bland milquetoast, dry as a bone affair. I don't know. Not, good for them that they're doing another little partnership, and Tony Hinchcliffe can continue hanging on to whatever relevancy he has left. I'm going to tell you, I go do Kill Tony, and Kill Tony says I suck. I take that as a compliment. If he thinks I'm funny, I go, fuck. I go back and I reevaluate my entire bit. I rewrite my entire, I rewrite my entire material. So we'll see what happens on that end, but just thought I'd share. Gaffigan squeaky clean good for parents and kids that live in gentrified part of the city. I mean, sure, that's it. He's fine. He's fine. It's just not for me. It's all right. Yeah, just give, I don't have a problem with him. It's just like, okay, he's got his demo. He's got his audience. He's fine. Good for him. He's successful. He's successful at what he does. Certain demos love certain stand-up comedians. What kind of demos are you talking about? 14 to 40 borderline incels. There you go. Stool fucking is Rogan's claim to comedy fame. Making really loud noises. But again, I to a degree, again, I don't think Joe Rogan is funny, but I can understand why people think he's funny. And Tony Hinchcliffe, I'm completely unable. I don't understand it. I understand it's supposed to be subjective, but it is what it is. All right, before we get to the Q&A, did you know that this weekend, Maple Leaf Wrestling Pro, professional wrestling, is Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is having an event. It's having its Global Wars Canada on Friday, March 27, and the next day, March 28, it is having its event Uprising. The Global Wars show is put together in collaboration with Ring of Honor, and Uprising is not. And the thing here, the thing here is that we have no idea. At least, and I checked, I triple, quadruple checked. We have the full card for the Global Wars Canada show, but we've got jack shit for Saturday. There's no card announced. So I'm assuming is that they're going to announce the card for the Uprising on Friday once the Global Wars show is done. Then they'll announce the matches for the next day, because maybe there's stuff happening on Global Wars that will have an impact or that will be setting up, I should say, matches for the Uprising show. Regardless, I don't know exactly what the deal is, for Uprising. So we can't preview Uprising, but I thought we could take a little look at what's coming up here this Friday, tomorrow, March 27, from the old St. Clair College there in in Windsor, Ontario. If I'm up to it, I might review it. But I'm not I'm not placing the burden on myself to sit down and watch a Scott D'Amore show. You know, I'm not. You know, I'm. You know, I might want to enjoy my weekend too. But look, the point is that if I do review, I will put the review up. Members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel will have early access to it. Because you know, he's got some really cool people on the show, but he's using them in such weird ways. Okay, like on this 6-way scramble, right? He's got Barbara Cavernario in here. He's got Ace Austin. He's got Michael Oku, and we're doing a scramble with these guys. Michael Allen, Richard Clark, Brent Banks, Jake Christ. I'm like, all right, in a scramble, okay. You know, when they announced Barbara Cavernario, I was like, oh, cool. When they announced Mascara Dorada, I was like, oh, cool. But then you kind of see, then you remember it's a Scott D'Amore show. Then you remember it's a Scott D'Amore show, and then you're like, all right, okay. Eddie Kingston and Ortiz versus Adam Priest and Tommy Billington. Big fan of Priest and Billington, as you may know. This should be a lot of fun. I don't know how healthy Eddie is. That's this at this point. I kind of feel like this is the Joker card. It's the wild card as to whether things are going to go well or not. It really does depend on how healthy Eddie is, essentially. But he'll be on this show with Ortiz. It should be fine. But I love me, Adam Priest, and Tommy Billington. God damn, I'd want more of those. More of those two guys. Bhupinder Gujjar, Mascara Dorada, and Psycho Mike taking on the Lethal Twist. You know, it's the swirl, but they're with Jay Lethal. So now they're the Lethal Twist in a trios match. I've only seen Psycho Mike wrestle twice. He's got a good presence around him. Enjoy him. I don't know what to think here. Like, why are you stuffing Mascara Dorada into this? Blake Christian's good. He's fun. You know. The swirl. Yes. Blake Christian's good. Lee Johnson is, you know, he's got his flashes. You know, Jay Lethal is up there, man. He's the old veteran hand now. I don't know. I have very poor, not poor thoughts. I don't have many thoughts. I just wish they gave Mascara Dorada something interesting to do. Then it's the return of DG USA as Rich completely blew that one. It's the return of DG USA where Ricochet will be taking on Rich Swann. What is it now? 15 years later or something? I mean, look, I'm making fun of the fact that this hasn't happened this hasn't happened in a while, but you know, Ricochet is still very good. I haven't seen Rich Swann wrestle in a bit, so but you know, I've always enjoyed his work. There's not much, like Rich Swann is a weird one where, you know, you look at him and it's like, this guy's very good, but do you get invested in Rich Swann matches? Like, is this a guy that you really get involved in? And it's like, no, there's something missing here. So, but look, I mean, these guys wrestled each other tons in the past, and sure, I'm all for a DG USA revival here. Not a problem for me. Red Velvet will be defending the Ring of Honor Women's World Television title against Alice Crowley. I've heard the name Alice Crowley a bit. I don't think I've ever seen her wrestle. Oh, she's a Juggalo Championship wrestling lady. How many matches has she? Well, not that much. What are we talking about? Well, I mean, it is the start of the year. What about last year? Oh shit. She's got a ton. Yeah, okay. I've heard her name, but I don't think I've ever really seen her wrestle. I'm just looking over the promotions list, and I'm like, where would I have seen her? And I don't see anything that I regularly watch or that I might have stumbled upon. Christ, 2023, she was wrestling everywhere. Look at that. Like, shit, that's good for her though. Yeah, I mean, look, the last time I saw Red Velvet, it was the match with was her matches with Mercedes Moné, and I thought she was excellent. I thought she was very good. Oh, we'll see how this goes. Deonna Purrazzo will be defending the Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship against Giselle Shaw, who is not putting. It's not a title for title. Giselle is not putting up the MLP Women's World Championship. That should tell you all you need to know. A four-way match for the brand new MLP tag team titles. I hate this so much. Like, if you want, see, this is why I'm like, why should I watch a Scott D'Amore pay-per-view because you get shit like this? Bishop Dyer and Kaito Kiyomiya will be a tag team, taking on Bryce Hansen and Mo Jabari versus the Good Brothers versus the Gates of Agony. And I hate all of this. I hate it so much. I can't stand it. But it's a very Scott D'Amore thing to do. It's a very Scott D'Amore TNA thing. Oh, let's crown our first champions. Let's do a fatal four-way and have, fucking 8 people running around all over the place. I'm not into it. It's not the teams I have an issue with. It's the setup here. Fucking 4 ways for the tag team 4 ways on top of that. Double blech. Yeah, do a mini tournament. You have your knockout rounds on the fucking Global Wars, and then the next night you have 2 nights, and then on your uprising, you have your finals. It's just 4 teams. So you have the finals the next day. Rohan Raja will be defending the PWA Champions Grail title. MLP still has that close association with PWA, if you recall. He'll be defending it against Stu Grayson. All right. And the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship will pit Athena versus Taylor Rising, who's been working quite a bit on the Canadian Indies. Yeah, I don't know. There might be some gems here. There's a couple of things that I'm interested in. I'm interested in Rick Swan. I almost did Ricochet again. Ricochet and Rich Swann is something that I'm interested in. I want to see Red Velvet and Alice Crowley as well. Those are the things that I'm most interesting. But I think this is going to be an okay show. I might review it. I might end up just like saying fuck it, but then at the same time I'm like, wouldn't I be better served catching up with the wrestling, with the good wrestling that I know I'm missing out on, right? Wouldn't I be better off catching up with the last few matches of the New Japan Cup and all the recommendations I got from the 16 karat gold tournament weekend? Wouldn't I be better off to do that? Probably, right? Anyway. That's Global Wars Canada. Cross-branded show between Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor Pro Wrestling. And then MLP has their Uprising show the next day, but we don't have a card. So I can't right. I mean, unless it's suddenly updated. Let me go see if we do the. I'll do this, and it's this one here, right? 28th, and no, okay, no, there's no one there. So there you go. Don't watch that 16 karat gold nonsense. Brother, I've had some very hefty recommendations from people whose opinions I trust. I'm going to watch it. Silver Apocalypse, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, brother. Also, member of the channel, it is nice to see you, and I hope you're doing well. But yes, this show will be, is all lowercase fine. Exactly. I love the Good Brothers on principle, but fucking hate watching them wrestle. That's the case of a lot of people, I think. I think that sums it up really well. Anyone worried that the Good Brothers are once again AEW adjacent? No, not at all. Not in the slightest. Rich Swann is now bald. We have a bald versus bald match. Didn't know that. Can we give Giselle Shaw the title and Deanna's contract? That's mean. They prefer to be referred to as a juggette, not a juggalo. Juggalo is masculine. Juggette is feminine. All right. I just learned something today. I apologize for misgendering the lady juggalos, which is supposed to be referred to as juggettes. I will do better in the future. Please accept my apologies. I'm going to do a full apology video coming up. I will sit down, pet my dog, and sigh very loud. They're probably going to announce the MLP world title is being vacated due to Josh Alexander being unable to defend it. Probably. Scott D'Amore is the Jim Gaffigan of wrestling bookers. Look at what they're doing to Kaito Kiyomiya. Look at what Kaito Kiyomiya is doing to himself. Come on now. I know it's very insensitive. I'm sorry. Please don't cancel me. Please don't tell the Juggettes. Please don't cancel me. Please. Oh, wait. No. We don't need the music. We're going to go to the questions now. We're going to check out the Q&A. We're going to check out the Q&A. I can pull them up. There we go. What kind of question? How many questions do we have here? We got a few here. We got a few questions. Thank you everyone for dropping your questions. I appreciate it. You guys are all wonderful and beautiful. See, I knew we needed a gimmick tonight. My instincts were correct. There is very little, there's not much meat on the bone tonight for the type of stuff that we usually chit chat about. So here we are, and here we go. Realistically, who faces Willow at Dynasty that makes sense, that won't create a divisional logjam? It's funny how I'm getting a vibe that Harley Cameron is going to turn on Willow. I'm getting that vibe. I'm actually very angry that they're running. I'm very, very upset. More upset than angry that they're running the Dominican Dominion, the Dominion of Destruction. What are Lena Cross and Megan Bain called again? I know I can't remember the name for them. The Dormant Dominion, the Destructive Dominion. It's something like that, right? I know it's Dominion, the Dominion of Doom. That's what it is, right? Is the Dominion? It's not the Toronto Dominion, but that is really fucking funny. And that's what I'm calling them moving forward. That is legitimately what I'm calling them. Nope, it's the Toronto Dominion moving forward. Nope. I believe Mike McCullough is correct. It is the Toronto Dominion moving forward. Yeah, I'm really upset that that we're going straight back to the Babes of Wrath. I talked about it quite a bit on the review today. On how I think the women's division is really not what it was chopped up to be, and that's not turning out what it was supposed to be, essentially. So I'm completely unimpressed. So I'm thinking maybe Harley, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like, they've got 2 weeks to do something with Willow. And they have to start getting this woman off the pre-show too. They have to get this poor woman off the pre-show. Oh, but Warren, she was on the main show in Revolution. Fuck off. They brought her up to do an angle disguised as a match. Who do you see Tekla losing the AEW Women's World title to? And when would you do it? That's a very good question. Is it realistic to think that that Mercedes Moné is going to come in and is going to want to get a shot at the title? I think that's realistic, right? I think that's very realistic. I think that might be something that they'll probably angle. If it were me, I would have Tekla hang on to that title right up until All In. Why would she drop it? Like, right now, I don't see any interesting paths, but at any given moment they could decide to just warm someone up and get them ready and put them on the chopping block, right? Just get them into a match. They could bring back Britt. Britt might come back. It's funny because when we were laughing, what was it on Blue Sky that we were, the day that it was announced that Toni Storm was taking a break, was going to be away for a bit. Everyone was like, oh, who's going to take Tony's place? She's irreplaceable. And I, of course, jokingly post, you could always bring back Britt. And thankfully, there's a hefty selection of people who understood the joke, whereas others were like, no, why would you bring her back? She's such a sour puss, and she, the division has passed her by. Like, I was, to a degree, I was happy to see that there is still a contingent of Britt Baker haters out there. Like, if anything, she hasn't spoiled her legacy being away so much. So good for her. So you know what? Bring Britt back. Bring Britt back and let her beat Tekla. Let's get some real deal heat going here. Let's get the Wrestle Sky people all upset. I'm starting to enter my heel phase when it comes to the Wrestle Sky people on Blue Sky. Let's do that. Let's have a little fun. Bring Britt back. Have her take the title off of Tekla. There you go. How about that? But if you want me to answer the question seriously, it's a really good question. It's legitimately a good question. But look, Mercedes Moné is coming back likely next week, right? Next Wednesday, she's very likely going to be back on Wednesday at Dynamite because she's scheduled to defend her Winnipeg Pro Wrestling title, right? Isn't that it? WPW, something like that. She's scheduled to defend her title on the Tuesday. So she's dropping the title, and she's already going to be in Winnipeg for Dynamite. So she's going to show up. She's going to be there. Yeah, you know, I think so. I think I think she drops it. I think she drops it to Mercedes. I really do. We'll have to see how it goes, as usual. But yeah, that'd be my guess so far. I don't see anything right now. I don't see any path right now. I don't see anyone who's being warmed up. I don't see anyone who's been cooking, or like if Megan Bayne was not in a tag team right now, I'd be like, let's do something with Megan Bayne. That sounds actually pretty awesome. I'm into that. That I'd be into. But it's like, I don't see anyone else. I don't see anyone else, being the recipient of a push of something to warm them up, to get them ready. You just done Statlander. I don't think you go back to that. You don't go back to that well just yet. Yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss, but I think the safe money is to put it on Monet. Boo. It's ironic because when it comes to Ring of Honor, they had no problem with the women's division, and it's literally booked by the same man. I mean, there's no one being warmed up. There's no one waiting in the wings. There isn't any compelling feuds. I get the feeling that Harley Cameron is going to turn on Willow, and I'm not one of these people where it's like, oh, everyone has to turn on each other in the tag teams. But I just feel like the vibe that's been going around, Harley, how she's been since she lost the title, there's something there. There's just something there. Tekla losing that thing to Big CEO. Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised you weren't I'm surprised you wouldn't clown on her more. Blue Sky ain't exactly known for their humor. That I wasn't clown on more. Blue Sky isn't known exactly for their humor. I think a lot of... Look, I don't know. I'm assuming that most people who reacted to it are people who already know that I don't like Brit. That this is my sense of humor. No, don't send any SUVs, please. Not again. I can't go away again. All right. Next question. Who are some AEW people you see in the G1 since it's being so heavily advertised? I wouldn't be surprised if Claudio Castagnoli gets a shot at it. I think that's something that Claudio would like to do. I think something that Claudio would have the freedom to do as well. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Takeshita's going to be in the G1 this year again. Not sure. Not quite sure. I mean, plans could always change, but if they stick to the plan that they have for Old Soup, they're going to need Takeshita over the summer. Just putting it that way. I don't know. But again, it's so early in the year still. Things can change. But if I were a betting man, I would bet some money on Claudio Castagnoli, but I am not a betting man. This is not financial advice. This is for recreational purposes only. But I would go with Claudio. That would be my sharpest guess. Swerve? No, I don't think it's his style. I don't think Swerve would fit. I don't think it's his style. I think it could be a nice diversion for him over the. Look, I wouldn't say no, but I don't think he'd be the first choice. Hangman is an interesting option with him out of the picture. He's done G1s before. He's done G1s before. At this point of his career, because here's the thing too with Hangman. He's extremely successful. He's beloved. By the way, how you doing, D.E. Owens? Nice to see you and welcome. Member of the channel. How you doing? Lots of members tonight. You know, if you want to be on the members gang, you hit the join button, you become a member of the channel. There you go. Just as simple as that. Hangman is already very successful and he's done his G1s. He's done the routine. He knows how grueling it is. It's a question of, does he want to do it? That's all there is to it. Does he want to do it? And I also think that they are going to be very careful with how many AEW guys that they bring in, because of how New Japan fans feel in regards to AEW people these days, the hardcore fans. And I think they're also going to be very careful that whoever they bring in is going to be a heel. I think that's also a very significant thing. You know, look, Hangman in the G1 would be extremely interesting because back when he was doing the G1s, he was a guy you wouldn't even consider winning. He was a guy who would be like, you know, Hangman, he's going to finish with 4 points. You know, that Adam Page finishes with 4 points. That's essentially would be your prediction for whatever block he was in, right? You would never consider Hangman Adam Page anywhere higher on the totem pole. But maybe 2026, he goes in and it's like, well, you know, now this is serious wrestling superstar, former world champion, Hangman Adam Page. There's a nifty story to it. I'm not going to sit here and say complete bunk. There'd be a very good story to say. But, you know, Hangman looking down the barrel at his old dick and balls tag partner, Yujiro Takahashi, in Block A action. Yeah. And Don Foley, because you know Don Foley is going to be in the G1 this year, right? You know, maybe Hangman will end up in the same block as the crown jewel, Chase Owens. You know, I think it's, you know, I think there's, I don't think it would be a terrible idea. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Claudio is the safest bet this year. I think Claudio is a very, very safe bet. How do you maintain your good looks while being 82 years old? Well, you know, bathing in the blood of virgins, for one. When will Pacemaker Paul's day of reckoning come? It feels closer every day, don't it? It really does feel closer, and I'm not trying to meme here, but it does feel like it's getting closer. And like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Ronda, Paul has been oddly media silent recently. When I say oddly, it's just out of character for him. Not doing any videos, not promoting anything. He's not showing up. Like, I'm even at a point where I'm wondering, will he kick off WrestleMania? Will he be a night one? Will he show up? You know, will he show up in the ring and say, oh, are you ready? You know, because his fifis are hurt. Because his fifis are, look, okay, we're talking about, oh shit, I don't have, do I not have it set up here on this scene? Shit, I don't. Okay. We're going to go back here real quickly to the other scene real fast because since we're talking about Paul Levesque, then we have to do this.
It's time to play the game.
Yeah.
Time to play the game.
just because we were talking about Paul. Otherwise, I would. But it's like, look, I wouldn't even be surprised if he doesn't show up, because he's too much of a coward now. Because now he's like terrified. He's just terrified right now. He's petrified of not being adulated by everyone. Because this is his last shot to really pass himself off as one of the all-time greats. Anyway. When will you bring back warm soda, hot trash, and cool beans? Jesus Christ. That is another era of the Mr. Warren Hayes show, and probably not anytime soon. Thoughts on Air Canada CEO not knowing a lick of French and potentially getting shit canned? Well, we do. Look, we have 2 official languages here, and look, I know Air Canada receives a bunch of subsidies and grants from the federal government. And if you're touching federal government and your service affects Canadians across the board, then you should be able to speak both languages. Listen, my stance is this, as far as bilingualism goes, okay? In the year 2026, there is no reason for any human being on earth to only speak one language and one language only. It is easier than ever to pick up any fucking language you want, whether it be Spanish, French, Japanese, German, Russian, Italian, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. Like, there is no reason to not know 2 languages. I'm not asking you to be polymaths like fucking Claudio Castagnoli, who speaks 11 languages or whatever the fuck. But there really is no reason in our day and age to not know more than one language, and it's not something to pride yourself on either. It's not something to go, well, all I need to speak is English. I speak 2 languages, English and bad English. Well, there you go. Those are good. Or at least understand the words if you can't speak it well verbally. True. Which is kind of my case with Spanish. You sound silly, Warren. You think Paul is going to miss a chance to be the first thing people see on both nights? Not if he's going to get booed. He stopped doing the little presser things, the little post-match things in front of the audience, because he got his feelings hurt. Poor little guy, poor little fella. Poor little fella. David Baines, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. Would you rather have wrestlers /TK answer questions in kayfabe or not during post pay-per-view conferences? Not. I don't care that. I really, really, really don't care whether they're if they answer questions in kayfabe. That has no interest to me personally. But if they come and sit out and they you're asking questions as a member of the press, well, then they should answer. They should answer it not in character, and that's always been one of the reasons why these press conferences were always very goofy, and we always ended up getting some dumb questions, is because some of the influencers there passing themselves off as journalists just wanted to be part of the show. So, they'd sit there, see Roman and say, "My tribal chief, could you tell us what is your favorite part of coming to Orlando to wrestle," or whatever, right? And you're like, "Oh, shut the fuck up." It's like, this is so dumb. All of this is dumb, It's all dumb. If you're going to get these people out there, and in particular, management, well, then, yeah, you should grill them with some legitimate questions. But that's just me. I know there's tons of people who just want Tony Storm to say silly things at the post-show presser. They just want her to say, goofy innuendo after when it's all done. And that's fine if that's all, if that's what you want. But, as someone myself, and I'm assuming you as well, watching you great A+ audience to this D-list podcast, I'm assuming that you've got a little more your whistle isn't wetted as much with kayfabe questions. You want the real deal. You want some crunchy stuff. You want to be able to ask some real questions. Now, Tony Khan, I find, answers very well. I don't think he's ever in kayfabe. He's now moving forward. He's the only part of any presser that is interesting, because that's the only place people ask real questions, and that we can glean some kind of information. And like I said, Tony never lies on these things. There is nothing that he has ever said on these pressers that hasn't been accurate or true. He was asked, like the Ronda Rousey example, where people ask him, is she signed? He doesn't outright say she's not signed. He's all Ronda, great to have around, the door's always open. Well, that's your answer. He could have been more direct and say, no, she's not signed with All Elite Wrestling. But he said the door is open. And there's all sorts of examples with that, with him. Here's another good example. He'd use football analogies, right, to talk about the media deals. Remember when he was in the crux of the media deals, and people would ask him, it's like, oh, can you give us an update, right? And he'd always deflect it, until one day he said, oh, we're at the 10-yard line. And people went, oh, we're that close now. Yeah, we're coming up, and blah, 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 blah. And then we'd get closer. It's like, oh, now we're at the 1-yard line. So, oh, shit, Tony, so we're going to get something real soon. And then, the media deal is announced. But, he would never say, he would never outright say, no, oh, we're still far away or whatnot. He'd say, no, if we're close, if we're very close, he'd outright say it. And then people started doing the same thing with the Ring of Honor deal. And there was a short time, wait, was it the Ring of Honor deal, or was it the Shockwave thing where everyone was expecting it to end up on Fox? I can't remember, but there was a deal. There was a deal that he was also getting very close to, and then at some point he starts using, and then someone asks him flat out, I think it was Ring of Honor, and someone flat out asks him and says, look, using the football analogy, right, on the field, how far are we to the end zone for the Ring of Honor deal? And we say, oh, we're not even on the field yet. It's like, oh, okay. See, like he does not bullshit. He doesn't lie. It was Shockwave, right? I think it was for the Shockwave thing. But exactly, Travis. He speaks in code. You just have to listen and pay attention. But the guy doesn't lie. The guy just doesn't lie. So that's why when you get him there, you grill him. You ask him the real questions. That's what Paul Levesque couldn't handle. And he was not trained to handle it either. Him answering, I didn't have time to read the lawsuit, is the absolute dirt worst answer he could give. Like, that is not what an executive of a multi-billion-dollar company, which is about to be sued for sex trafficking, for Christ's sake, you don't say, oh, I haven't read the lawsuit. That is a pitch poor answer. Even if it is the truth, you don't need to have read it, because someone probably texted you about it. Someone, Nick Khan, probably called you on the phone about it. Someone, your PR department probably told you about it. And maybe they tried to give you some cues and you were too fucking arrogant to properly react to it and take their advice and go, yes, this is actually quite good idea. Yes, thank you. No, because you're Paul Levesque and you think you understand everything, you think you know everything, so you go off on your own, and then you end up looking like a complete and utter buffoon. And so I didn't read the lawsuit. That's not the point. Didn't have to read the lawsuit to know what it was about. That was an awful answer. And you see, even though the answer was bad and was likely very untrue, it helped paint a portrait of who Paul Levesque is. All of these little things now, all of these legitimate questions and how Paul reacted to them, all helped paint a picture of how this man is, which allows us to get a better understanding of who he is. This is why, when journalists say, well, there's no point in asking the question, he's not going to answer it. Well, even if he doesn't answer it, you still get a response. You still, even if he doesn't answer your question directly, you will still get an answer. You will still get something out of it. We will be able to glean something about the guy regardless. We'll have something on the record on top of that. So if it turns out that he was lying, we'll be able to go, wait a second. You said on this date, no, or whatever, That's why that's why it blows my mind when these journalists are like, oh, I don't know, why would I ask him a question that he's not going to answer? That's the point. That's exactly the point. If he's not answering it, we need to know. If he's not comfortable answering it, we need to know. That's part of that. That's good for the general population to know. He'd be in the lawsuit if he hadn't been quarantined in Florida with NXT. Well, you never know. His wife knew who Janelle was, right? She knew who Janelle Grant was. Holy smokes. Anywho, the curse of the tag belts has doomed the women's division once again, with only the Brawling Birds as competitors for Wembley. Who fills their other two pay-per-views until then? Look, I went all over that today on the review, but here are the cliff notes. It's preposterous that their women's division, okay, let me start over. The women's tag team titles and the subsequent division are not living up to the expectation. Tony went out of his way to create tag teams to exist as challengers, as people to fill out the division. And I understand that, he's lost one of his teams in, with the timeless love bombs, right? Now that Tony is gone, I understand that they're not around. But look, there's the Brawling Birds, and I understand that the Babes of Wrath, I think their time is numbered, and you probably want to focus on Willow doing singles stuff a bit. So that also, you're like, okay, there's another tag team that hits the wayside. Yes, you're setting up the Brawling Birds to be the big challengers to the big giant women tag team, the TD Dominion, but the Toronto Dominion. But who else? Yeah, you've got you brought in not that long ago a little tag team to come and job out and stuff. Hyon and Maya World, who built up tons of goodwill from your audience that are just like, yeah, let's go, let's do something with these women. You could absolutely warm them up and have them go on a little run and do something. You still have the Renegade Twins under your employ. I don't know. I think it's Charlotte who was injured, right? Was it Charlotte? I think Robin is okay, and Charlotte was injured. Just fucking reactivate the Renegade Twins. Bring them back together. Get them out of Ring of Honor. Bring up anyone from Ring of Honor at this point. Just do some dopey crossovers. It's a preposterous situation where these tag titles have not lived up to the expectation. And they've really been poorly booked. When you look at how things have been laid out since the fall, actually, right? Since the titles have been won, it's basically been Megan Bayne and whatever tag team partner she's with, whether it's Lena Cross now or Penelope Ford back then, and the Babes of Wrath. That's all it's been. That's all this tag team division has been. Sure, you've got the Sisters of Sin. They're not very good, but there's so much you could still be doing, right? And I don't understand why we're not capitalizing off of High-End and Maya World. I don't know why we're not capitalizing off of that more. I'm kind of suspecting that we might get a tag team with Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa, because they showed some affinity. They showed some when Thunder Rosa challenged Tekla, right? They were, Statlander had her back. So, I kind of think that they could go that way as well. I don't think it's lived up to expectations at all. I don't think what they're doing with the tag team division is very good, quite frankly, right now. Honestly, the men's tag division has a similar issue. There are at least 4 young teams we never see because 3 old teams are on the top. I mean, yes. Yes. But, I want to see the Young Bucks. Like, there's a difference here. Like, there's something where it's like, I want to see the Young Bucks wrestle. So I don't mind if the Young Bucks are at the top of these tag team programs. I want to see these guys wrestle. I kind of want to see FTR too. Christian and Cope, I couldn't give I don't care. It's fine, but I don't care. Would I like to see more of, let's say, book the Grizzled Young Veterans more. Get Billington and Priest on TV more. Or let's do stuff with Dan Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. There's tons of possibilities. Yeah, and in fairness, we had a really exciting tag team to look forward to in Davis and Doyle until Jake Doyle got hurt. We had that to look forward to. And it'll probably come around again. But I find that, I think that the difference between the men and women's is that at the very least, the men's side, you can look at it and you say, well, there's a lot of possibilities and there's a certain amount of depth. Whereas on the women's side, there's not much. There's just not much, because outside of the Brawling Birds at this point, who's the next big, women's tag team up? Maybe it could be High-On and Maya World. You could do that. I guess when they bring them back and they have like a cutesy smush name, right? Like Mayan, Mahayan, like Maya and Hyan. You get Mahayan. If they come back with that kind of name, then they're in for a push. That's how it goes. I said in February that AEW had 11 women in the division, and I'm not sure it's grown. And the thing is, but the legitimate thing is that the depth of talent is extremely good. Like like I often like to say, right, is like there's a lot of high level, high quality, world class talent in the AEW women's division, and then whoop, it cuts off. Like when it dips hard. It goes really, really hard. How can it grow when it gets 30 minutes maximum a week? Your guess is as good as mine. You know who you have to talk to about that. Now that Leo Rush has scrambled to copyright Dark Heart Leo Rush, are we going to see more of Manimal Leo Rush? I mean, that's probably his character moving forward, right? That's more likely what we want to look. You know, it's like we talked about. What was it last week? When we started. Why did we touch on it? I don't remember. Like, it's not for me, right? It's like I said. Like I feel like Leo Rush is trying too hard because he's such a good fucking wrestler. He's just trying too hard with this dark version of myself, this demon heart. I don't know what it doesn't matter. He's trying too hard is the point. And it kind of sucks. It sucks that he feels like he has to try that hard, because he really shouldn't. He's Leo Rush. Now, I can appreciate 100% that, maybe I can appreciate that maybe Tony, like, this is his way to break apart from the pack, right? Because Tony maybe is just ignoring him. And I mean, everyone was talking about him. Was talking about his new look, his bald head, his Gollum-like personality and whatnot. But for myself, I think he's trying too hard. But yeah, I mean, if this is what he needs to break apart from the rest, well, go ahead and do it, as long as it doesn't damage the rest of your career. All right, last question. Not saying the situation is dire. She has too much credit in the bank. But how does AEW salvage Chris Statlander? The situation is not dire. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think Chris Statlander is, I think she's fine. I don't think there's any damage. I don't think there's any damage that's been done. I think, look, it's like I said, when she, during her title reign, right? It's, I think she had incredible, I enjoyed the output of her run. I think she was very good. They threw everything to show that they supported her, that they backed her. She beat Toni Storm clean. She beat Mercedes Moné clean. She beat Toni Storm twice on top of that. They really threw in everything to show, hey, we are going to do everything to give her a shot at this. And I would have done the same in the same exact spot. I'm like, okay, let's belt up Statlander and see what happens. Right? You, at some point you have to try. You, at very least, you have to try. So they do it, and Statlander's problem ultimately is that she still hasn't found herself and lacks that connection with the audience that would really put her over the top. I kind of parallel that to Hangman Page's first run as world champion, where he had the championship and, everyone was happy about that, but was just missing something that really made him feel like he really was the biggest dog in the yard, which I think he made up for with his, with the build to All In and his win. I think when he won the title that second time, people were like, oh yeah, Adam Page this time around, this is the Adam Page that is the champion. And these things come with experience, right? These things come by being thrown into the deep end and see if you're going to sink or swim. And I don't think Statlander sank. I think she doggy paddled her way. She wasn't exactly comfortable in the situation. She wasn't it wasn't an ideal spot for her to be in. And the only way we could have found that out the only way we could find that out is by making her champion. Now, she's off camera for a bit as well. Making sure that her return feels good, because it's not that the AEW audience doesn't like her. There's just something charismatic that's missing. And I think it's an identity issue. I think, she's kind of back to being an alien. I don't know if I don't know if a cutesy, fun alien gimmick is what works the best for Chris Statlander, powerhouse wrestler who towers over a lot of her competition, most of her competition. Maybe it's another type of personality you need. Because look, we're talking about Tekla in the chat. Tekla is 5'1", and she comes across as the most dangerous badass in the company. But she's tiny, So it's the reason why Tekla is working is because she projects so much, which is something that Statlander has trouble with. So, I think taking your time to return her back to television is a good thing. Because I think she has fans, and I think AEW fans like her. I like her too, right? But the projection of who she is, I think, comes with the lack of projection of who she is comes with an incertitude about who she is as a wrestler, what her personality, what her persona is, I guess. Because she's a great wrestler. I have no issues with her, technically speaking, with her skills. It's not a skill issue in her case. I don't think there's anything to salvage. I think there's more work to be done. I think there's more to build on, I think that's the thing. Because I don't think she's, like you said, I don't think it's dire, but I don't think there's anything broken. It's just like, oh, okay. We gave world champion Chris Statlander a shot. Didn't quite work out the way we wanted. What can we do next now? I think that's mostly the thing. Just feels like they botched Stat's character with too much trial and error. In ring though, she's my number 2 after Sari, and I want her to be a big star. I think I'm rooting for Chris Statlander too. If anything, I'd try to revisit, like if we want to talk concrete things, I'd have her revisit a heel turn. I don't think we got even close to enough out of her for, in that, in that circumstance. I think we could have drawn out the heel turn a lot more and see how that turned out. We'll see. Look, I think it's presentation is the problem right now with Statlander. Presentation, confidence in who she is. That sometimes makes the difference between a good pro wrestler and an excellent pro wrestler, is just knowing who they are in the ring. It's like Kyle Fletcher, right? When you think about how 18 months ago Kyle Fletcher was still like the little blonde kid, and you weren't quite sure what he was supposed to be, what he was doing with. And then he does the heel turn, and he finds himself, and he starts cutting heel promos, and then he evolves, and he continues to lean into it. And he's like, yeah, this is who I am. This is who I am. And you're like, God damn, this guy is awesome. Right? But that exploration happened before our eyes, and it stuck. And because it was excellent, it was well done. It's interesting when you see them live, you realize the characters that really get over perform well in reactions and performance, no matter what seat in the arena. You could see what Tekla was emoting, Stat not so much. Yeah? I agree. Toni Storm for years, though, was just a nice lady. Uh-huh. Just a white meat baby face is what she was. That was her thing. I would even suggest the heel turn was very strange. She flipped from face to heel and then back to face so quickly. Yeah, that's the main issue, is that they didn't do, they just switched switched back so quickly to her being a baby face. It didn't even have time to grow, barely had time to breathe, quite frankly. And thus ends the Q&A. Those were good questions, chat, tonight. Thank you for the wonderful questions. Without you, this stream would have ended 45 minutes ago. But that was good. That was fun. I appreciate it tremendously. This was a good time. Thank you. I appreciate all your questions. Hope you enjoyed the stream as well, everyone who popped in, and who joined in, who asked questions, who did all sorts of goofy stuff. 45 minutes of Xeons in podcasting. Tell me about it. Where do you think all this gray hair comes from? Huh? What do you think this is? Do you think I was born with this? No. This is 7 years of podcasting. Thank you, everyone. I'll leave you off for your weekend now. I appreciate you tremendously for popping in again this week for tonight, tonight, Monday, the Dynamite review, anything, the Mr. WarrenHayes show, whatever it was, and whatever it is. Thank you so very much. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing. We stream twice a week, Mondays, Thursdays. There's reviews and videos and podcasts that show up as well. It's a very busy, fun time. And if you're like, man, I would like to listen to this on my favorite podcast application, well, the Mr. WarrenHayes show stuff is available there as well, except for the live streams, which are, of course, exclusive here to YouTube for now. Yeah, look, I hope everyone has a really dope weekend. I hope you enjoy your weekend and have a great time, everyone. Can't tell you how meaningful it is that you all showed up again tonight. Have a great time, and yep. I'll see you next time.